It's a good day to be a soccer fan, especially a soccer fan in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If you don't know yet, Fort Wayne FC brought home a victory from Cincinnati. 1927 SC brings home a victory from Grand Rapids. That's 6 points for Fort Wayne teams coming home this weekend from matches out of state. The United States men's team, I'm going to ruin it for you if you haven't watched it. If you didn't just finish it up, brings home a victory against Trinidad and Tobago, a convincing victory, 5-0 against a team that kept us out of the last World Cup. Micah, do you remember that? Do you remember
unfortunately, I think I remember my Facebook post for that day, and I think I just put down, I need a hug. Still haunted by it, and I am scared of Trinidad and Tobago. Every time I see him, I get a little bit worried, but I'm glad we were able to come out and just crush them tonight.
Yeah, no, it was a fun game to watch. Actually, especially after the last couple of performances we've seen the United States men's national team put out there. This looked quite a bit different, and it was fun to watch. So anyway, we're not here to talk just about the U.S. men's national team. We got a lot of Fort Wayne soccer to talk about. I'm your host, Brian Biedenbach. I'm here with two great guys that have been joining me for weeks now, Micah Middendorf and Dustin Diller. You already heard a little bit from Micah, but Micah, happy Father's Day, man. I know you kind of had the day to yourself, it sounds like. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a very quiet day. My family's not in town right now. So my son is on a service trip. He's in Colorado right now, building houses or something. I don't know. And then my daughter, right? Daughter and my wife, they're in Florida visiting a friend. So I woke up this morning, I kind of looked around. I'm like, what do I do? Like, I haven't had a day like this. So got my grass cut early, ran out to Lowe's for a little bit, worked on a couple projects. I mean, it doesn't get more dad than that, right?
Yeah. A lot of good dad stuff. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us again tonight, Micah. Dustin, how was your Father's Day?
It was good. The weekend was good. I was in Cincinnati on Friday night for Banana Ball for the Savannah
Always
Bananas.
good to be in Cincinnati.
So, yeah. So that was fun to be at the Red Stadium, sold out stadium.
Is that where it was sold? So the Savannah Bananas sold out
Red
Great American
Stadium.
Ballpark, and the Reds can't do that.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. It was pretty awesome. So did that, and then we were at the lake yesterday and today, and got a good paddleboard in. Yeah. So it was beautiful day for Father's Day. I feel like the last few Father's Days have not been the best weather, so it was nice to be able to get outside and do some stuff. So
yeah, no, that's good. That's good. We had a pretty chill day here as well. My oldest son was playing volleyball down in Indianapolis, brought home the championship and the silver bracket as their team's getting ready to go to nationals here in a couple weeks. So I got to see him play yesterday, but this morning it was just my youngest and I. Got up, went to church, went to lunch, and got home. And my wife, when she got home, brought home steaks. And so we threw them on the grill. There's a peanut butter pie waiting for me upstairs. Like,
nice.
It's been a good day, fellas. It's been a good Father's Day here in our household. So we do have some soccer to talk about, not just dad stuff. But before we get there, we want to thank our sponsor, like we always do. FW22 is a 501c3 nonprofit organized to facilitate community involvement in the support and assistance of veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury, while simultaneously educating on suicide prevention and mental illness. We thank you for the work that you do, FW22, and we thank you for your sponsoring Fort Wayne footy here on this podcast. We've mentioned it the last couple weeks, guys. We are interested in other sponsors. So if you listen to the show and you like what we're doing here to celebrate and elevate the game of soccer in the Fort Wayne area, and you want to get behind that, connect your brand to the growing soccer community in Fort Wayne, we would love to talk to you. We've got some new sponsorship materials getting ready to go out. If you're interested, send us an email to info@fortwaynefooty.com. Comment here on the thread if you're watching live. If you want to message us on YouTube, Facebook, we're on Instagram now, hit us up there. We'd love to get you some information to connect your brand to the soccer community. I do want to say this. I know some people have tried to comment in, and they'll comment on one of our Facebook streams, one of our Facebook pages as we're going, and we don't always see those comments. So the ones we do see are the ones coming from YouTube. So if you're watching us on any of our Facebook streams and you want to comment in, jump over to YouTube, leave us a comment. It'll pop up. We may be even be able to get it up here on the screen and answer a question or shout you out one way or the other. So thanks for watching. We're excited to have you. Let's get into the Fort Wayne FC recap, who they were also down in Cincinnati. And you went to the Savannah Bananas game.
We weren't down there on Saturday. We were back before the game. Actually, as we were driving back, Kendra was like, why did we not stay to go and watch the game? But
yeah. It sounds as if there was a traveling contingent from Fort Wayne there.
There was somebody yelling.
Yeah, watching on the broadcast, I heard, "Let's go Fort Wayne." And then when Diaz scored the winning goal, he ran over and the commentator said something about celebrating with the folks in the stands, which is pretty cool. So if you're listening and you went to that game, let us know. We'd love to know what the crowd was like from Fort Wayne that traveled to Cincinnati for that match. But I guess we gave it away a little bit already, right? Tiago Diaz scores a winning goal in the 82nd minute, I believe. But it was a Kings Hammer team that was a little bit more attacking minded, I think, than maybe we saw them in Fort Wayne a couple weeks ago. They came out strong, earned a corner in the right from the kickoff, 15 seconds in. They blast the ball, get across, takes a deflection, and they're in on a corner, which was I don't know if it was expected from Fort Wayne FC, just to kind of sit back, let's let this ball come to us, whatever. But Cincinnati Kings Hammer came out attacking in this game. I think you guys both watched it. What did you think of this first half, or at least the first series of play there in this game?
Well, Briscoe go ahead.
Sorry. I think Briscoe even had a really nice save within the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yep. I think it was like 4. It was like the 4th minute or something like that.
Yeah. And again, it makes me feel great that we have Briscoe back there, that he can come up big when we need him. But yeah, it's definitely, it was more wide open than what we've seen in the past. And that could be by design. Maybe Lexington wanted to start out on the front foot. Maybe it was a long travel day for the boys, who knows? But overall, the pace of play was incredible, at least in the first 10, 15 minutes.
Well, and I think as you look at the games that we're playing, everybody in the conference they're good teams. There's nobody that's getting blown out of the water. We're not blowing teams out of the water 5-0 like the U.S. men did today. They're close games, and so for it to go to the 82nd minute and us and finally get the go ahead goal. Both of us had multiple chances throughout the game. Some breakaways, some through balls. It was good to see, but overall, I think all the teams that we're playing are decent, good teams, and it's coming down to 1-2 goals for a win. So Fort Wayne's just pulling it out. They're composed and they're doing what they need to do to get the points. So it was good to see them come out with the win for sure.
Yeah, and I think at this point of the season, I think now we're on the second round. We've played everybody in the league, right?
Right. Yep.
So nothing's a secret. So
right.
Your coaches can have a better game plan, whereas those first couple games, some teams are still creating rosters that 2 days before, right? So you don't know exactly the players, who's going to be there. So I think teams can plan better, come up with a more positive game plan. But at the end of the day, I think we have a higher level of player from goalkeeper into our forwards, the whole team, where there's just a level of confidence that everyone has, not only just in themselves, but in the players around them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. We'll talk actually a little bit later in the show just about overall impressions of what we see from Fort Wayne FC in this first half of the season. So we've seen several games live. We watched a few online. At least at this point, I'm beginning to see some patterns of play, some consistent, partnerships on the field. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But this game really could have been 3-3 at halftime. Both teams were playing an attacking style. Kings Hammer from Cincinnati, Fort Wayne FC, both going to goal constantly. Both goalkeepers played great games. Briscoe and I believe it was Maxim for Kings Hammer played great games. They pulled saves out on the one-on-ones, the breakaways you said, some upper corner shots. I think Briscoe had that one, like you said, early in the game. Just beautiful saves, shot stopping ability from both goalkeepers. Then the second half starts, right? And that's normally the time, at least at home, that we've seen Fort Wayne FC come out and score in the first 5 minutes pretty consistently. Their halftime adjustments work. Kings Hammer held them off and actually had the first opportunity in the second half coming off a corner. I thought for a second that ball was in. There was a corner that came from Briscoe's right, I believe it was, comes off a head on the back post, and it hits the crossbar, like not the crossbar, but it hits the outside of like the bar that goes to the back on the side, and I thought it was inside the net. The only way I didn't was Briscoe's reaction, just casually walking, and I went, okay, that didn't go in. But they had the best chance early on in the game. And I don't know if you guys saw all the second half. I know we talked a little bit about how much of the game you got to see, but that game blew wide open in about the 65th minute. It was back and I felt like, you ever go to a tennis match? Do your kids ever play tennis, or you've been to one? And constantly your head is turning back and forth. That's what the end of the second half felt like in this match, as both teams were just going to goal. They were attacking hard. There'd be a turnover or a goalkeeper would get it and hit it long, and it was a counterattack immediately. There could have been, 5 or 6 goals in the last 20 minutes of that match. There was only one, and it came in the 82nd minute with Tiago Diaz, the game winner in the last game, and then the game winner in this one. You saw the goal, Dustin. Your thoughts on Tiago Diaz as a center back, inside the attacking box, and the goal that he scored there.
I mean, it was beautiful just to turn and shoot, right? He received the ball, turned, shot the ball right into the back of the net. It was beautiful. It was interesting. Again, center back, you don't think of that kind of a play. Actually, when we got back and I saw that he had scored, I said to my family, I said, "Oh, Diaz scored," and my wife was like, "Wait, no, Tiago Diaz, like from center back, was it a corner?" And it wasn't a corner, but it was a free kick that kind of bounced around and then he got it. Beautiful. It's all. I mean, he's usually a header guy. I mean, that's what he's gotten. The last 2 goals, I think, were off of headers for Fort Wayne FC. But this one was just off his foot, and it was a beautiful ball. So it was cool to see.
What a dream for him to be in that situation, have the game winner, have a great turn. As a former defender, like, those were moments that I would dream about every single match. Just give me one shot, coach. Let me play forward. Like, let me have this one opportunity. And unfortunately, things always went different from what I had in my head, right? Like, that first touch wasn't as great as Diaz, or the turn wasn't as great. But as a center back, like, that's to be in that situation, have the game winner, and then come through, I think also shows the quality of this team, right? Like, our forwards aren't the only ones that can play with skill and that can play. Our center backs can do it as well.
No doubt. And as you mentioned, it was a free kick. There was probably, 25, 30 yards out. He was up to get a header on this free kick, which is why Diaz was in the box. The ball pinged around, like it was pinballing around between Kings Hammer and FC players, Fort Wayne players. And it was actually our forward. It was Ruud Schneider Birnbaum that passed it to his center back at about the penalty stripe, who just does a forward turn, like a striker's turn, and strikes it with his left foot and puts it right in the net. It was beautiful, not expected from a center back, but Tiago Diaz is racking up the points for Fort Wayne FC this year. He's a force in the back. and he's a force up front with winning goals in the last 2 matches. He's a guy you got to watch wherever he is on the field. It was good to see that this week. Guys, we have a couple games coming up yet this week for Fort Wayne FC. Next game is here we go. Ryan says he's our Virgil van Dijk. No doubt. No doubt. He's our Virgil van Dijk. He is a force to be reckoned with wherever he is on that field. Can't take your eyes off him, guys. Fort Wayne FC has a game coming up against Lexington SC II this Wednesday night, and then Saturday we've got West Virginia United coming into town. So if you are around looking for something to do Wednesday night or Saturday night, check out the Fort Wayne FC match at Bishop Darcy Stadium. And then we do want to look a little bit farther out, guys. I know we've talked about this, mentioned it a couple times at least on the program. The Fort Wayne FC has Atlas, the U23s from Liga MX, the Atlas Club, coming to town on Saturday, June 28th, later this month. Be sure to get your tickets. That is going to be a game. If you want to see the quality of players that we have out on this Fort Wayne FC roster, which we have so far been quite impressed with this season, they'll be put to the test against Atlas U23s, who Atlas, again, if you've been listening or haven't been listening to the show, Atlas is a very storied program in the Mexican League. And this is the one that, they've got their U23s that are looking for spots on that starting roster, the senior roster. They're looking for spots on other professional teams in Liga MX in Mexico. So these are guys that are fighting for spots, and they're going to be fighting hard against Fort Wayne FC, who also are guys that we could see in professional ranks here very soon in the next couple of years. June 28th, get your tickets now. They're on sale at the Fort Wayne FC website. Check that out. And then we have Christina's back in the chat here. Wednesday night is going to be a huge game versus Lexington SC. And that, Christina, is a great segue into our next segment here. We've got Tyler Crane. I'm going to bring him up on the screen. I got to change our layout here. Tyler Crane from the Crane Kicks Lex podcast to tell us a little bit about Lexington SC, what we can expect with the team rolling into town, and all that good stuff. Tyler, welcome to Fort Wayne Footy. Glad to have you.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Super excited about this game this weekend. I think it can't be understated how important it's going to be.
Yeah, no doubt, because this is first and second place, right? Last time Fort Wayne came down to Lexington, played at your place, came home with a 1-1 draw. Lexington SC II is a new team this season. Is that correct? Just formed. So they're coming in hot. They're sitting 2 points below Fort Wayne FC in the standings because you've tied one more game than we have, but we're both undefeated. It should be a tough match. It should be a lot of fun. So we're excited to learn more about the club, learn more about the team. And Tyler, tell us, first of all, before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and the Crane Kicks Lex podcast.
Yeah, sure. So I just actually ended up starting all this way back before we even had a team name. We didn't have team colors. We didn't have anything. They announced that we were getting a professional team in Lexington. And I was like, you know what, why not? Let's just start writing about it. So I actually created a blog and, went to a few team events, met our sporting director, started meeting the ownership group, and just kind of plugged away at providing as much information as I could. And, at that time, there was like nobody that knew what was going on. But then over the years, it's been awesome to see it grow with the team. As the team has expanded and grown and gained popularity, I've seen a huge uptick in what I do and what the people who help me do. So I'm lucky enough to have 3 other people that help me with the podcast. Jessica, Kyle, and Dylan, who are all great. They kind of help fuel the perspective from the fan base and give some extra insight that maybe I might miss. But it's been kind of a wild journey seeing everything do what it's done with this club. It's not often that you get to see a team from any sport just kind of come into fruition and then like get its identity and grow and then see what it can be or what it might be. And it's not always pretty. You're going to experience the growing pains along the way, but that's kind of half the journey, right? So it's been really, really cool.
Yeah. And it sounds like you guys are a few years ahead of us at Fort Wayne Footy. We're just getting started this year. The team got started in 2020, first season, 2021. moving into USL1 next season, which is why we were like, we got to do something. There's not a
Yeah.
whole lot going on around this team right now. We've got to figure this out, because there's a fan base here that's dying for it. I think that's really excited if they knew more. And so, so we've got, you to look towards as kind of the future of what this podcast and this little bit that we've got going on can be. So thanks for what you do in Lexington. We've got Ryan, one of our regular viewers, in the chat saying Tyler's from another great grassroots podcast for sure. So Ryan's familiar with your work, it sounds like. And
Appreciate that.
So Tyler, tell us a little bit about just the soccer culture in Lexington. We had a guest on a few weeks ago. I don't know if you are familiar with Justin Blair that I work with at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. He's the one that gave me your name. He was on telling us a little bit about Lexington, but you're there. You're behind this team. You're out in front of this team a little bit, in the media-wise anyway. Tell us about the soccer culture in Lexington right now.
It's definitely in its infancy in its own right. We have a very well established youth soccer culture that existed even before Lexington SC started its youth side. So in that regard, it's been established. But as far as the professional side, we're just now starting to see some traction really happen with that. Before this year with our brand new shiny stadium, we would get 1,000, maybe 2,000 people out to a game. And now we're getting 4 to 5, 5.5, which is nice. It's nice to see that growth from one season to the next. And there are a variety of factors. We make the jump to USLC. We get a new stadium that's in town as opposed to in Georgetown. And I'm sure that affected things. But I think that people are finally starting to really grab hold. And every time I'm at a game, I see new faces and I hear new voices say how much they're enjoying their time and how they want to come back. And I think that's huge, and you can even kind of see it with the Railbirds, who is our primary supporters group. They're the official supporters group. And, I remember when they started out with just 5 people, and now it's grown, and you look in the section and they have quite a few regular members now. They fill up a section of their own, and more people are coming over there, joining in the chants. So I think we're moving away from a couple of years ago where whenever you'd say Lexington SC and everybody would be like, oh yeah, my 12-year-old plays for them. And then you're like, oh yeah, but I like the pro team. And they're like, wait, there's a pro team. Yeah. And now that's not so much a thing. When you mention it, they're like, oh yeah, the pro side. I caught the game the other night, which is a really good indicator of where we're moving.
That's awesome. That's good to know, because we're getting a stadium next year, and again, we're bringing what, 1,600, about 1,700 a game right now,
consistently right now, yeah.
And we're able to seat what, 8,000-9,000 in the new stadium.
But I think it's up to 8,000.
Yeah. So that's good to know, from that perspective, because it is growing, and same with our supporters. It's been really cool to see that grow. Now, so there's different tiers of the Lexington SC. Talk to us a little bit about those tiers. Is the style of play the same for every single team, or is it kind of varied? How's that work?
I think the intention whenever everything first started out was that the style of play would kind of be, uniform in a sense. Obviously you're going to have variations, but I think that they thought, we're going to make this all kind of have a particular style, and it's going to be implemented through all levels. I think we've diverted from that a little bit, because obviously when you get different coaches in the mix, and it's hard to do. You have different players with each level. You're going to have different personnel that work with different systems. So I think to a point, you see a lot of similarities and a lot of this is kind of our identity that we want to work with. But you could definitely see there's a little bit of a difference from one to the other. I'd say with our USL2 squad, there are quite a few similarities to our championship squad. I mean, they seem to run a little bit of a different formation, but same mentality as far as, high pressing, high pace attacking football. With our Super League squad, it's a little different than our W League, or at least it was. But also with Super League, we went through a few coaches in our first season. So that causes some growing pains along the way. But I think that as our youth side continues to really solidify and it becomes a true pipeline from one stage to the next, we're going to see more of that. Okay, this is that identity that's kind of seeping through all the way to the top.
Yeah. So earlier you were talking, I just want our listeners to be clear, right? You're talking about the championship side that is getting the crowds, everything that's grown, but the Lexington SC II It's
Mhm.
in USL2. What are you seeing at those games, crowd-wise, excitement? Do they play in the same stadium right now? All of that stuff.
Yeah, so with our stadium, we actually have a full complex of fields around it, like directly on site.
Oh,
You can
nice.
literally just walk like 2 seconds from the stadium to the first set of fields, and then it kind of circles around the parking lot, which is really great. To my knowledge, our W League and two team haven't played in the stadium. They tend to play on one of the main fields that's right
Okay.
outside, which is a really phenomenal facility, but obviously different. It's not grass like it is in the stadium. It's
Mhm.
turf, high quality stuff nonetheless, but a lot more accessible. It's free to attend our W League and our USL2 matches. I will say they're way less attended. You'll see some things
Sure.
around USL2 where it's like, we had attendance for 4,000 fans that came out. That's not really going on here, but I don't think it's because it's not quality soccer. I just think that we've got such a flood of quality soccer right now
Mhm.
that, obviously at some point people have to make a decision. They're like, okay, well, there's 4 different teams playing this week for Lexington. Which one do I get to? And
Right.
they tend to be drawn towards the championship one more often than not. But
Mhm.
that's not to say USO2 hasn't been really exciting. It's some of the best quality football that you see out of our Lexington side in all the tiers.
Yeah.
So with the USL2 and then the USLC, like, is there any movement between those rosters? Like, are those USL2 players trying to make their way into that USLC? Like, does that happen? Like, what does that look like?
So this year, not so much. In years past, like with our UPSL squad, whenever that was kind of our flagship for like the next level, and our academy, obviously USL academy system, we would see players being called up. We tend to see it a lot actually on our women's side. Our men's side, at least this year, it's not really happened yet. Last year and the year before, for sure. But you get the sense with the talent and the people that we've scouted and brought in that somebody's probably looking and saying, okay, are these some people that eventually we could say, you know what, we need you up in the next squad, and then at least develop you and see if you can slot into that level. I think maybe, I don't know, part of that is that we got a new coach this year for our championship side. And so there's that. On top of it, you think about jumping to the next level. And I think there's a little bit of like trepidation about, okay, like, are these USL2 guys ready for that level? Maybe we should test the waters with the squad that we got first and then kind of see, okay, how did you do in USL2? Like, are you ready to maybe even feature for a few minutes? Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, and then kind of prove yourself there and move on. But I think we definitely have some standouts in our USL2 squad that probably are catching some attention.
Listen, I think it's because Fort Wayne FC has won the division the last 2 years, and you've got a team that's competing with them right now, trying to take them out on their
Yeah.
last season in USL2. So they can't afford, Micah, to pull any guys off that squad because they're trying to take
That's
us
what it
out
is.
of first place. No, and I would imagine too, because this is an amateur roster versus a professional roster, there's
Mhm.
contracts involved. There's probably guys, if
Yep.
I don't know how your roster's built, our roster is built definitely with young talent, college players, high school athletes that are going into college that are making a names for themselves here in Fort Wayne. And so we were talking earlier too, and I'll just pose this question to you. We were wondering how other teams in USL2 build their roster, because Fort Wayne recruits from all over the country, and some
Yeah.
international
Mhm.
come here to play. We talked to Ryan, the GM for Dayton Dutch Lions, and theirs is a lot of local talent, a lot of like Wright State
Mhm.
University talent. What is, Lexington, specifically their USL2 side, is it local talent, or are they recruiting from all over the place? I know it's first year, but what does that look like this year?
That's what makes USL2 so interesting to me, is because you really will find that like one team goes worldwide and pulls people from all over, and you're like, whoa, okay, like we're doing that, and then you'll have another squad. Like I remember a couple years ago, Vermont Green, they end up pulling in some like former USL1 players and put them in their squad, and we even have one on ours right now. And then sometimes it's really a high school going into college approach and get all the young guys in there that are local. With us this year, it's very different than our UPSL squad, which was all local guys. With our USL2, we'll say like local-ish, because we have some University of Kentucky players on the squad. We have some players from University of Cumberland's, which has a great program. We actually are pretty heavy with players from there, whether former or current. They've joined us. We do have like a kid on the squad. I'm say kid, but that's me saying as a 36-year-old. But he's playing for Penn State, and he's coming out of Lexington. And so I think we have a pretty interesting setup, honestly. And because a lot of those players, even though they're coming from relatively local universities, a couple are coming out of England. So, they played elsewhere, like Marcus Miro, he played for Tottenham's academy. So we have an interesting mix of where they're coming from and talent levels, and it's kind of cool to see. Now, I know some fans are like, oh man, I was really hoping that we would have like really heavy local kid presence, but sometimes I think you have to maybe tweak your brain as to like what qualifies as local, because I think still if you have people representing your local colleges in the city, to me that counts as local. They're here, they're representing the city in a different category, but they're still here and as part of the city. So I think in that way we're accomplishing that task. I think some people think we're falling short in the sense that we're not like taking kids from local high schools that have graduated out of like Henry Clay or Dunbar or somewhere like that and saying, here you are. But that'll come with time, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And the roster you have, as we've joked about, but the truth of the matter is you're sitting 2 points out of first place with the roster you have. You guys put a team together that's quality, that is here to compete, no doubt. And I think not just this year, but for the long haul. You mentioned a few names, guys on the roster. I think what our fans would be most interested to hear is who are the players that are going to light it up, or players that they're going to like maybe want to keep their eye on when they come to Fort Wayne on Wednesday night. I don't know if you know numbers or names, whatever, but whatever you can tell us about one or two players that our fans should keep their eyes on.
Yeah. So I mentioned University of the Cumberlands being one of our places that we look for a lot of players. Salvador Martinez, he's currently our leading goal scorer. He's got 3 on the season. He's really, really quality. He's a great striker. He's somebody that we kind of look to for goals. So I think that he's a really solid option that people should want to keep an eye on. Somebody that's also really exciting is Cannon Scretchen. He's leading our team in assists with 3. So he's been really pivotal in feeding in, opportunities for players to get on the scoreboard. Of course, you got Lewis Johnson, who not only has a pair of assists of his own, but he's our leading shot taker. So he's even though he's not necessarily having as much goal production as Salvador is, he's somebody that's going to shoot the ball. And whenever he gets in that open space, you can guarantee it's going to happen. And of course, I already mentioned Marcus Miro, who's with UK. He's a really exciting player for me, in my opinion. University of Kentucky is the captain of their squad. That's a quality program in its own. And then he's coming and playing for us, and he's putting up some pretty solid numbers as a center back. So defensively, he's kind of our pillar that's keeping everything together. So this is an interesting thing for a lot of Lexington fans that are following the USL2 squad, because admittedly, we're not used to being in the top 2 of any table, at least not this many games into the season. So to be 7 in and be unbeaten, and then when you watch the squad, it never really feels like it's a struggle to make those things happen. It feels very competitive, and it feels like we're very intentional, and we're a squad that knows who we are and how we want to play. And I think it's because of players like the people I just named, as well as the rest of the cast. I mean, it just feels so cohesive. And I mean, honestly, there's a lot of dangerous options besides the people that I just put out there. Those are just the ones that have some really great numbers that, when you're looking these things up, you're like, oh yeah, that's the person that he mentioned. But I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see somebody else that makes an impact.
Yeah. We could drop some names too, but I'll just tell you, it's our center back is the guy you got to watch. You heard that in. Tiago Diaz is one of our leading goal scorers right now, bringing home wins in the last couple of matches. So any predictions for the game Wednesday night?
Oh man, I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be another draw. I don't think it's going to be a scoreless draw. I have no idea what the score will be, but I do feel like it's going to be another draw, because it feels like we're just so neck and neck with everything. It's exciting to me though, because I feel like if we can do something besides a draw, either one of our teams, that's your team that's going to take the group. I think this will be the deciding game for the group. I mean, already we've both pulled away pretty far ahead from everybody else. It's pretty drastic, but I think that this will be the thing that says, here's who's moving on. Here's going to the playoffs. So there are a lot of marbles in this one.
Yeah, no doubt. There are.
Not supposed to be the greatest weather on Wednesday either, so it could be a rainy mess of a game. So
Yeah.
be interesting to see how that plays into it.
Yeah.
Whole nother
Thankfully, they
factor.
play on turf. The ball plays faster on
yeah.
turf. There's not gonna be a lot of
True.
mud. Hopefully, the 1,600 fans come out and still fill that stadium Wednesday night. You guys, listen. Those of you who are watching, if you're listening early in the week before Wednesday night's game, get your raincoat, get out there. This is the game to watch. Tyler, thanks for joining us. If people are interested in learning more about Lexington SC or you and your podcast, where can they find you?
Yeah, so we're on everything as Crane Kicks Lex. So we have our podcast. It's on all the different platforms that are out there. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're out there in Blue Sky. It's all over the place. So luckily we were fortunate enough to have the same handle because it's such an off the wall one that nobody's taking it. So we don't have to add the 1, 2, 3 after or anything weird like that.
That's awesome. Well, Tyler, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time, and best of luck to you and your team at Crane Kicks Lex. And I'm going to, Christina transition us into this segment, and I'm going to let her transition us out with Kings of the Valley three-peat, Fort Wayne FC over Lexington SC II here in Fort Wayne this Wednesday night. Tyler, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Fun interview with Tyler there. He does good work at Crane Kicks Lex. Guys, we got another guest coming on here in just a minute. Before we transition there, I want to just talk, general thoughts on Fort Wayne FC from what we've seen so far to this point in the season. As you mentioned, Micah, we're hitting that point where we're playing teams a second time. Teams are making adjustments, but what we've seen from Fort Wayne FC, what are your overall impressions of the team? Dustin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think in the last few games, especially in the Dayton game, last week, just the composure that the guys have when they're playing in tough, chippy games, the composure that they have, it's been really cool to see. Also, again, we're playing in a tough division. Like this division is not. We talked a little bit about this beforehand, but this division is not a 5-0, 4-0, games. These are 1-0, 1-1, 2-0, 2. These are close games. And so I've been impressed with the fact that they find a way to pull out the win in those tough games, even if it is in the 82nd minute by our center back scoring a goal. It's just kind of cool that we're consistent across the board at every position. We have quality players that are playing on the field, and our subs that come in are quality players that are coming in. So just across the board, the bench, everybody is just extremely consistent.
Yeah. Micah?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the confidence that all the players are showing, just not in themselves, but in their teammates around them. There's been several situations where, especially playing out of the back, we tend to build out of the goalkeeper, build in the center backs into the midfield, trying to break lines that way. But it's the confidence that the players have that when they're on the ball, they're not going to lose it. Back in the day when I was recruiting for colleges, I would always look at obviously the technical aspect, but then look at this. If I'm scouting a center midfielder, I'm watching them. Are they able to beat someone and create a little bit of space? And consistently, I am able to see those qualities, not just out of our center midfielders, but we touched on it earlier, but Diaz having a great first touch in the box to win the game. It's that sort of confidence that I think as they built this roster, they brought in the right types of players to have a very good year and give us something to talk about, right? Build momentum into next year as they go into USL 1. So it's that technical ability, but that confidence knowing that I can play a ball to my teammate under pressure with 2 people on him. He's going to play that ball, keep it, and then get out of pressure, whether it's on the dribble or with the pass. So it's been fun to watch. I think the style that we play is fun, and it's great for this community to see this, because I think we play the game the right way as well.
Yeah. For me, the composure is big, right? They play well in tight spaces. I was just going to touch on something you said there. You play it to a teammate, you trust that he's going to keep the ball. Man, in that last match at home. I forget who it was. I'm trying to remember who it was. Lost the ball on the left side of midfield, like right at midfield, and chased the guy down the right sideline. Like he busted his tail because he lost the ball that his teammate played to him. And so I just love the heart and I love the effort that these guys are putting out when they do that. Now, for me, like just every aspect of the game, they seem to excel in, or at least excel over the teams that they're playing against. So tight spaces, the composure you both talked about, like the ball that you do rondos in practice, right? If you're not familiar with what a rondo is, it's, you see probably on social media teams just kind of joking around in warmups and pinging a ball around one touch and there's two guys in the middle chasing it. That's a rondo, right? And that's what they do on the field when they get in tight spaces. They get defenders just chasing and spinning and turning until they find an opening and they go. So they play like that when they have to. It's not the whole game because they counter really well. They press really well. Long balls over the top to break pressure. They've got guys up front that can chase a ball and beat whoever the center back is to it, right? So they play well in all aspects of the game. The thing that just jumps out at me, though, as I'm trying to remember, like, of teams that I've been following, teams that I've watched, the unique thing about Fort Wayne FC that I can tell is the balls through the middle on the ground, long passes out of the back to either that target forward or that center midfielder that's playing high. Typically, from what I can tell, playing high next to the center forward, but drops back into space, looking for that ball that beats 5 or 6 players. It's not a ball over the top. It's not a, 3 or 4 time give and go down the field. It's one ball, long ball that's controllable to their feet. Guy plays with his back to goal, but suddenly that one pass beats 5 players. And now you've got an overload on the side, an overload in the middle, and you're going to goal with more players than the other team has defending. And it's the brilliance of that style of play that I've not seen a team, at least again, that I've followed closely, play with that style. And Fort Wayne is doing that consistently. Love watching that. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for their composure on the ball that these guys have talked about with me tonight. It's a fun team to watch. They play an exciting style of soccer, and I think it's going to be fun Wednesday night when Lexington SC comes to town. Guys, listen, they're not the only team in town, though. We've got a men's team out of Fort Wayne Sport Club, 1927 SC we talk about. And we are excited to welcome tonight to the show the man of the match, 1927's game last night at Grand Rapids SC. I'll bring him up here on the screen. Landon Wells, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm really excited.
Absolutely, man. I think you just joined the squad a week or so ago. Is that right? Maybe 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Or have you been with them
maybe
all
a little bit
season?
more than 2 weeks, but yeah, it's been pretty recently.
Okay. You are a young player, still in high school, jumping on the men's team, 1927. Comes out, gets your first start. Like it was almost meant to be. When the starting lineup came out and Landon's picture is there posing in the starting lineup, I'm like, oh, sweet. He gets his first start. Landon, I don't doubt your abilities, man. You are a great player. I've watched you play from when you played with my son, years ago in the early days at Sport Club. You've been a great player. But I'm like, oh, this will be fun watching him play on the men's team. This will be great. 13 minutes in, you score your first goal. Pretty exciting stuff, man. How did you feel stepping out on the field, getting your first start with 1927?
Yeah, no, it was great. Playing for Sport Club and stuff, but especially scored that first goal. That was, just an amazing moment, like one I'll remember forever.
Yeah. Were there a lot of nerves going into the game, or were you just out there? This is any other game from that kickoff and go?
Any goals come, it's my teammates, and I knew that we'd all be there for each other and that we'd all go out to get the win. So now it was pretty calm.
Yeah. Walk us through that first goal in the 13th minute. How'd that play out?
Yeah, so our fullback Moretti got the ball and he was just driving up the field, and he saw my run and kind of threw the center backs, and he did a really good job timing it and watching me. And he played me through, and I just had my one-on-one against the goalie, and I finished it. It wasn't even the best of finishes, but I got in the back of the net. That's what really matters.
Spoken like a true forward right there.
Yeah.
Listen,
Just
a
score
junk
goals.
finish is still a finish, man.
Yeah.
It's in the back of the net. It's still a goal at the end of the day. So well done there. Later in the game, you get your first assist, right? But before halftime, you assisted. I'm forgetting the player's name now that you assisted in that game, but walk us through that play too.
This one I have like a little blurry memory, but I just remember we get the ball back inside the box after like we win the second ball, right? And then I was just holding up in the box waiting for my runner. And I wanted to pass it to my midfielder, but he dummied the ball and like jumped over it. And Moretti was just there to clean it up, and he did a really nice one-time shot into like the bottom corner. And it was really nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. And then subbed out at halftime, I think. Is that right? And come back in late in the game. Is that right?
Yeah, it was around like 75th, maybe 80th. So yeah.
And then polished it off with the second goal in the 90th minute. Was that a better finish than the first one?
Oh yeah, definitely. At least the goalie didn't touch that one.
Tell us about that one. None of us were able to watch the match. Tell us about that last goal.
Yeah, so I think we won this one again pressing, and then my two midfielders had a really nice connection, and I was just staying on that line, and the center back kept me on side, and it was another kind of 1v1 against the goalie-ish, but I hit this one a little sweeter into the bottom right corner, so it was a little nicer.
Landon's not a player to mess with one-on-one. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, for real.
Goalkeepers in Fort Wayne, goalkeepers in the Midwest Premier League, watch out. He's coming for you. No, Landon, we were really excited for you to get that start to 2 goals and an assist, be responsible for all 3 goals in that 3-0 win over Grand Rapids SC. But you've had a lot more soccer experience. Like, you didn't just show up on the scene 1927 this year to play. Like, you played for Indy 11. You went up to Grand Rapids, played for Midwest United. Walk us through a little bit of your career from just the youth leagues here in Fort Wayne to some of the experience you've had up to this point.
Yeah, so I started off here in Fort Wayne Sport Club. That's just been my boyhood club up all the way until I believe U15 year, and then I started to play a couple MLS Next games, and then I fully transitioned U16 year, and I played for Indy 11. Had a good year there. Got caught up to the 19s a couple times, and then this year I decided to switch to Midwest United, where I played the entire year, and yeah, it was pretty good, and then got me to the summer pretty much.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, are you 16, 17, Landon? Remind us.
I'm 17 now, yeah.
Okay, so 17 years of age, and you're going and you're playing in, it's an amateur game, but you're playing with some guys that are what, 20s, 30s? A little bit bigger than your U17 playing, yeah. Right? What was that like? What was it like playing for that yesterday?
It was a little different, they're physical, they're a lot more stronger. And I was I'm used to being the biggest, strongest guy, but they're out there pushing me and stuff. And I was, not exactly used to physicality, but I adapted eventually. So, yeah.
You just run your own, scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Were you going to say something? I think I talked over you.
No, I was just say I was agreeing with you. Yeah, they might be bigger, but you just scored 2 goals on them. So, I think you did just fine. But Lena, I'm curious. So obviously you have a very bright future ahead of you. What are your thoughts going into the next couple of years? Are you trying to go the pro route? Are you looking at colleges? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, definitely pro first would be my ambition. And I'll be looking to see if I can step my game up to the pro level, but definitely college is an option that I keep in the back of my mind, and I just got to be smart with my decisions and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Very cool.
What's your ultimate goal, man? Is there a team, if you could set your path forward, is there a team that you'd say, this is who I want to play for? Ultimately, this is the position I want to play, and this is what I'm going to do with my career.
Really ambitious, but a Barcelona left winger or any La Liga left winger, but Barca obviously would be the dream.
They have a habit of picking up young, talented players there in Barcelona for sure. Landon, fun talking to you, man. Appreciate your time joining us tonight. Best of luck this season with 1927. And I don't know what your plans are. I know you kind of hinted, I talked to you on the field a couple weeks ago, kind of hinted at maybe what your plans are this fall or whatever. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all, but we do wish you the best in, whatever's next for you. I've always enjoyed watching you play. Again, you're a talented player, and looking forward to following your career. One game doesn't make a player for sure, but man, your one game you had yesterday was pretty stellar. So we're really excited about your future. We think it's bright, and looking forward to following you. Come back and join us sometime on Fort Wayne Footy, would you?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you guys.
For sure. All right, man. Thanks for being here. We'll get you out of here, and we'll move on with the show.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good kid.
Yeah. He's got a good head
kid,
on his
good
shoulders.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Good family too. I think I see Dad there in the side of the picture. Happy Father's Day there, Tyler Wells. Anyway, hey, as we wrap up our program tonight, we always have this extra time segment, right? And we're not quite to extra time. We still got 9 minutes left in the show, but we're going to move extra time up a little bit because I want to talk about world soccer. There is a lot happening beyond our bubble here in Fort Wayne. A lot of good stuff happening in our bubble here in Fort Wayne for sure that we've talked all night about. But there are some tournaments going on right now. The Club World Cup, the CONCACAF Gold Cup is going on. There were games on all day long. It was beautiful. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch them or not. But there are the best teams for the Club World Cup. For those of you who are unaware, since we don't get these games here in Fort Wayne, these are the best teams, the best clubs from the best leagues, most recently anyway, in the world, here in the United States playing. We've got Bayern Munich played tonight in Cincinnati against a team from Auckland in New Zealand, Auckland City in New Zealand. I'm going to the Borussia Dortmund game against the Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa next Saturday in Cincinnati. There's teams, PSG's playing tonight, I think. There are teams from all over the world playing here in the United States. If you get a chance, check out those games. Guys, I'll ask you this. Teams that are coming in, of the teams that are coming in, are there any that you're really excited that are here in the States, are playing on our soil, that our fans get to check out and see?
I think you mentioned PSG. I mean, obviously, with just winning the Champions League, I'm excited to continue watching because I don't get a lot of PSG games. And they played Atletico. Again, I don't get a lot of Atletico matches. So all of these games, it opens us up to all these teams that we hear about, but we might not get a chance to watch. So I think this is great for just the soccer community and world soccer in general, where we can see. You mentioned the Sundowns out of South Africa, or even Auckland, which I believe they're still amateur, right?
They're the only amateur team in the Club World Cup, which is a story in itself.
Right. You have real estate brokers playing against, Harry Kane, which is unheard of.
This was Fort Wayne FC playing against Bayern Munich.
Right.
On the big stage in Cincinnati on the Club World Cup level. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think, and this is a great segue into the International World Cup next summer, where we don't get a chance to see all these teams play, but the exposure that it gets, and PSG and Atletico played at the Rose Bowl, and it was full, 100,000 people there. So it's great to see. Even the casual fan, I think, this will generate a lot of excitement for, obviously, the World Cup coming next year.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The teams that you don't get to watch we have Peacock, so I'll watch on Sunday mornings a lot of times. But to Man City coming over, to play, I'm excited to see that, and the games that you don't 100% get to see on regular TV in the United States. Quality teams playing and it's not getting the best of publicity for some reason. I don't know what's going on with it, because it's a big deal. You know what I mean? I see the big players posting all over social media about coming to play in this, and there's hardly any promotional material out there talking about it. So hopefully this is a learning experience for the World Cup for next year. But it's good that we're talking about it and we're getting it out there, because I think people need to know.
It's,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I do think you're right. They're missing an opportunity for promotion, missing an opportunity to highlight. Like I saw one of the games today. It was the Gold Cup match that the United States was playing in. Wasn't super well attended out there in San Jose. I heard in Cincinnati, the match Bayern playing was not extremely well attended, and I wonder some of that. I know ticket prices, I've been tied into like the TQL stadium in Cincinnati. Ticket prices, maybe they're just out of reach for a lot of people, but there's an opportunity here to really generate some fandom for world soccer. And this isn't like, you might think, like, I've been to games where some of these teams have come and they played like preseason matches here in the United States. I went up to, the big house in Michigan and watched a couple teams play, Premier League teams play last, 2-3 years ago. The games don't matter. They're preseason. Let's get some fans in the United States while we're here, whatever. Club World Cup games matter. This isn't their B teams, most of them. Right. I don't think these are their B teams coming over to play. These are their top tier teams playing here. You're going to get to see the stars from around the world playing on our home turf and our home stadiums. So get out to games if you can afford to. It's going to be going on for a couple of weeks now. Get out to games if you can. Check them out on TV. Support what's going on, because soccer is growing and we need you and we need your support. This World Cup is going to be, pretty exciting next year, but it starts now. It starts now with fans jumping on board, watching some of these teams. Micah?
Yeah. And the other thing about that is this is all in local time too, right? Like if we're watching European games, we might have to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch first kickoff, right?
Right.
I watched PSG and Atletico, two top teams, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, right? So it's neat that way, where we can participate in it, but we don't have to change like our schedules or lose sleep or anything like that.
Yeah. And this is the first time in the Club World Cup that they've expanded to 32 teams. And so you're going to get some games that are really, really lopsided, like the one today, Bayern Munich against Auckland City FC, that ended 10-0. Again, one of the best teams in the world playing against an amateur squad from New Zealand who qualified because they won their region in their Champions League region as an amateur squad and got an automatic bid to the Club World Cup because 32 teams get in. But how cool of an experience, maybe not losing 10-0, but for those guys to be out on the pitch playing against Bayern Munich and others that they'll see in the next couple weeks.
You don't have to tell anyone the result. You can just say, I played
against
Bayern Munich. Right? I just started a new company, so I have to do tell me one fact about yourself. My fun fact for the rest of my life would be I played against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup. Right?
Absolutely.
What a cool story.
But again, we also alluded to the fact that's not the only tournament going on. There's an international tournament, the CONCACAF Gold Cup, that's being played right now. We talked about at the top of the show. United States comes away with their first victory under Mauricio Pochettino. It's been, we've had some
4 losses coming into
4 losses straight coming into this one. It was all gloom and doom for U.S. soccer until their Major League Soccer squad took the pitch today and took it to Trinidad, who, let's be honest, it shouldn't have been a game. But it was the last time. I know you guys watched Dustin. Excuse me. Dustin, take over. I'm having
no. Yeah. So I watched it. It was a totally different team than we watched in the last 2 games, which has been great because the last 2 games were pretty poor to watch and disappointing. I will say Mexico also played last night, and they played against DR and barely won 3-2 against DR. So it's quality. I mean, these are quality teams that are coming in. We may have our B-C team playing right now, but these teams that are coming in are bringing their A teams with players to play. And so as much as Trinidad and Tobago is, yeah, like we definitely should have won, and we did, and we dominated the entire game. I think 80% possession of the entire game. It's still good to see us back in that play from what we've been doing for the last 2-4 games. So, yeah, I think across the board, you're going to see some close games. I think you're going to see some teams that should be winning that are maybe not winning. Maybe the U.S. come out with Haiti, and they may not, and
Don't
Saudi
say it.
Arabia.
Don't say it.
I'm just saying. It may be something where it's a different team, but it's good play. It's fun to watch. It was very empty. Stadium was very empty, but I think that's probably because of the last 2 games. To be completely honest, people don't really want to pay to go watch it.
Yep.
And so hopefully that momentum gets better and we start winning and we do well in the Gold Cup. And that way, going into the World Cup, it's not an empty stadium to watch the host nation play.
Yeah, I don't think, apart from the Gold Cup, I don't think we have any more meaningful games until
we
the
don't.
World Cup, because
Nope.
we don't do qualifiers, right? Like, we're an automatic selection.
Yep.
So this is probably our last like true competitive match
Yep.
for the next 12 months till we get to next summer. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's I haven't watched the game yet. I have it recorded. I think Fox Sports has a replay at 1 a.m. So I have my DVR set. But from a results standpoint, gives from a week ago where I wasn't as optimistic. It gives me a little bit of hope that I think things are going to start moving in the right direction, and winning solves everything, right? And
Yeah.
as long as you keep winning, no one's really going to question. But hopefully, like you said, Dustin, the momentum, we can maintain it for the rest of the tournament.
I saw a clip from Landon Donovan today just talking about, Pochettino, and had no idea going into this tournament who his best 11 are. Doesn't know at this point, because he's been with the team for such a short time.
September of last year is when he was hired.
Who's even going to be his 26-man roster going into the World Cup? And so these games matter because they're his last chance. Played with the roster, played with the lineup the last couple games. I understand that you're trying to see who your players are going to be. You're playing with partnerships on the field, formations. That's what you do in friendlies, right? But now he's going into some meaningful tournaments, not knowing at this point, because you don't have the likes of Weston McKennie, you don't have Christian Pulisic out there, Serginho Dest. Like, there's a lot of players that are like staples on this team that are not there in the Gold Cup. Good opportunity to see some players that you wouldn't otherwise see, but you're not getting to see them play with your Weston McKennies and your Christian Pulisics, which is going to be difficult. I do stand by the fact, though, that CONCACAF soccer, this is a CONCACAF tournament, the Gold Cup, teams from North and Central America. It's ugly, ugly soccer. It's not the pretty stuff you see in Europe most of the time. It's physical, knockdown, drag out, punch you in the nose, sometimes literally
breaking your nose.
And Diego Luna a few games ago, right? We need guys who play that style of soccer. The team that was out there today was primarily Major League Soccer players that started that match. Now, they're not the biggest, strongest, most physical players from MLS, but they're used to playing in those conditions. And I stand by the fact that sometimes we need some guys out on the field that don't play pretty soccer to compete in these CONCACAF competitions.
Yep, I agree.
So we got games coming up, guys, from 1927. They play Thursday night at home at Fort Wayne Sport Club. Get out there. We've got the number 1 team from Lansing Common, coming down to Fort Wayne to play at Fort Wayne Sport Club. Wednesday night, we've got an ugly, potentially rainy match against the second place squad, Fort Wayne FC, playing Lexington SC. And then Saturday night, we've got West Virginia United coming to town, also at Bishop Darcy Stadium, matching up against Fort Wayne FC. You've got Club World Cup games this week. You've got CONCACAF Gold Cup games this week. There's a lot of soccer. We'd love to know what you're watching, games that we can check out, we can talk about with you here on the show. Let us know that in the comments. Send us a note on Instagram, Facebook. And thanks for joining us here on Fort Wayne Footy. Have a great week. We will see you next time.